This is Shelley Trent, and I'm the KYSHRM College Relations Director, and this is the launch of our virtual mentoring program. Some of you might have gotten some emails about it and maybe even already signed up. We really appreciate that. But today we're going to go into more detail. We are so lucky to have with us Hope Zeller, who is a professor at Spalding. I think don't you teach at another school too?
I did teach at Webster University, but now I'm just at Spalding University.
Spalding. And she has her own organization called Hope for Leaders, which is nice. It's a play off her name. And she has a PhD or an EDD, right? And she did her dissertation on mentoring. So she has volunteered graciously to talk to us about the idea of being a mentor and being mentored. And then after she speaks about the value and sort of how to be a good mentor and a good mentee, then we're going to talk about the launch of the program. So let's see if I can get my slides to work here. Here we go. Oh, we said that. All right, so Hope, take it away.
All right, thank you very much, Shelley. Well, I am, as Shelley said, very, very passionate about this topic for many reasons. One, it got me through my dissertation, yay. And second, and I said this, I know several of you were on the call with us last Friday and heard me say that I wouldn't be where I'm at today doing what I'm doing had I not had so many wonderful mentors in my life. And I have tried to pay that forward, and now I'm a mentor myself, and I still have mentors. I think it's a lifelong thing, and that's why if we can engage students in college that have ideas and passions and get them going and get them paying it forward too, I just think it makes everybody successful. And I came across something as I was putting just a couple of slides together of some pieces of information I wanted to share with you. And one of the quotes, and I absolutely loved it, is mentoring is often the secret sauce of success. And I love that because I truly believe that, as I said, just the people that have come into my life and opened my mind to ideas and things that I never thought possible, and helped me be able to get there. So as Shelley said, what I am going to do for the next couple of minutes or so is just share some insights, not only with my research, but also with my personal experience around mentoring. So the topics that we are going to look at here this afternoon/morning is, I want to explain what mentoring is and what it is not, and why that is extremely important, because I think some people have some misconceptions about what that might mean. And you definitely don't want to start the relationship off in that way. Talk about what are some of the qualities of successful mentors and mentees. And then, we all probably could sit here and name several benefits of that, but I'll share some ones that you might be aware of, and then maybe some ones you hadn't thought about. And then just give you some tips on how to grow that mentoring relationship. And I know when Shelley takes it back over and tells you how to get engaged with this program, she'll give you some ideas of some things that you can do when you get involved with your mentee. So what is mentoring? It is an experience that is based in mutual trust that enables two people to grow. And what I want to add to this is that it really is the best when it is a mutually beneficial relationship. And I will tell you that, having been a mentor myself and having many mentors along the path of my life, mentors will tell you that sometimes they get more out of these relationships than the mentees. They really enjoy that opportunity to share with others, because what I have found about mentors is their hindsight can become mentees' foresight. And the things that they've done in their career, and I can't tell you the number of mentors that I had in my life that would tell me, Hope, don't make the same mistakes I did, because you're going to make a whole bunch of your own. So go ahead and check these off and live vicariously through what I've done, and figure out your own way with this. So I will say that, it really is, it's something that both parties are giving. And sometimes you don't even know where those paths are going to lead until you get involved in these relationships. So some of the misconceptions of mentoring. I have had people contact me and say, will you mentor me and find me a job? And I'm like, whoa. Let's talk about what it is that you need. Really, the role of a mentor is not somebody that is going to specifically find you a job. Now, after you get involved with a mentor and you have that relationship, could there be connections and opportunities that open up for you that lead to someone finding a job? Absolutely. But the initial goal of a mentor relationship is not one to find necessarily someone
in another meeting.
It's to, share wisdom. It's to make connections. A number of different things that I'll share with you.
What's up? I can listen. Go ahead.
The role of a mentor also is not to tell a mentee what to do. And I have not had any mentors along the way that have ever done this. Well, this is exactly what you should do. They always tell me, this is what I've done. So take what I've done and figure out how it's going to work for you. But your role is not to guide them and say, well, you definitely should pursue a degree in this, or you should definitely think about doing that. Your role is to really open their mind to the possibilities of all the things that they could do. And the role of a mentor is not to coddle someone either. It's just to be there to act as a guide, and again, to give wise counsel. And back in the many, many days in my dissertation research, I opened up with, they often called mentors sages. They were givers of wisdom. That's what they are. And so, even today, that still stands true. Mentors are givers of wisdom. They're wise sages that you can learn things from. So what are some qualities of a successful mentee? And some of these may seem, just common sense, but really a good mentee, when you get involved in that relationship, is somebody who genuinely wants to grow. I say this in my coaching engagements all the time when I'm coaching a leader. I can't want this more than you want it. So, when someone comes into these relationships, they do have a genuine interest when the relationship is going to be successful, of wanting to learn and grow from whatever it is that the mentor is going to share. Also, open and receptive to feedback. I will tell mentees all the time, not necessarily when I'm mentoring them, but if I'm connecting them with the mentor, is that always be open and receptive to the feedback. You don't have to agree with it, but always just be open and to listening to whatever that person has to say, because you never know down the road. I've had mentors that have given me advice, and at the time I didn't necessarily want to hear it and I didn't like it, and then 5 years later I'm in a space and I'm like, oh my gosh, that wisdom that someone gave me just came to relevance right now. So just always being open that it may not be knowledge for now, it might be knowledge for later. And mentees have a genuine commitment to, I want to learn, and then I'm willing to take risk in that learning. I'm willing to try something that I've never tried before. And they're really, really good with self-management skills. And, I'm going to talk about too, that commitment. When you make commitments to sign up to be a mentor, it is a commitment of your time and your talent. But it's very important that when you commit to these relationships, that you stick to them, you stick to those appointments. If they ask you to do things, that you're involved in doing that as well. So what are some of the qualities of successful mentors? Long list here, but what I will tell you about this list, and to me, it's probably one of the top ones, or actually the top two that I will say to you, and I say this to leaders as well. Excellent listening skills. Sometimes when you are a mentor, the only thing you need to do is listen to your mentee, what your mentee has going on, and then in that listening, be empathetic. And I will tell you right now, and Shelly and I were just talking about this before we started today, about school right now, with a lot of kids going back to school, and they're having to then start, then stop, especially in the college atmosphere setting. I don't know what it's like to be a college student today. I imagine it's very different than when I was in college. So, being a mentor today is just really listening to, what is it like to be there? And it's, it's very scary with the uncertainty of the world right now of what does employment look like for me when I get out of here? How do I go about finding a job in a market that, may not be as strong as it was? So, for me, this long list of things that a really good mentor provides, all of them are important, but the two that really coming to the table with when you have a relationship is just the ability to listen and to be empathetic and to understand what your mentee is going through, so that then you can provide that wise counsel based on where that person is. So let's take a look at what are the benefits to mentees specifically. Of course, it's going to broaden opportunities. That's absolutely one of the goals of this, is that, you have opportunities to meet people that you wouldn't have gotten to meet. You get involved into industries you didn't think you would be necessarily interested in. Of course, most of ours would want to be in the HR field, but even in HR, there are so many different jobs you can do. And some people might not even be aware of all the things under the HR umbrella. The political insight, some of my best mentors, and I said this when I was in management at UPS, I never wanted to play the politics. And one of my best mentors started laughing, and he said, good luck with that. He said, if you're going to be successful, you are going to learn how to play the politics. And so I found when I was with the organization that my mentor was wonderful with helping me navigate those political things. How did I sell things to people, not tell things to people? How did I figure out who were my people of influence? So, I know for us mentoring the students, they may not necessarily be part of your organization, but just giving them, that insight into how do they navigate that? How do they build a network? How do they influence people? These are all things that are not necessarily taught in college. A lot of these things I learned once I got into the real world and I had some mentors. So students today, by having a mentor, are really getting an advanced look at what it's like when you get into the real world of work. Also, it's expanding your network. That is a huge thing, is how can we introduce people to people? And as I said at the beginning, this isn't about helping them find a job, but if you have a mentor that comes to you, a mentee that comes to you and says, I really want to be in organizational development, and you are an HR person that's dealing with comp and benefits, recruiting, hiring, but a great person that's doing organizational development that you could connect them to. Doesn't mean you stop being their mentor, but you are expanding and opening up their network of people that they can meet and that they can also maybe find some opportunities through. And then seeing yourself as others may see you. Mentors are great at building up confidence for mentees. I know all my mentors, when I didn't think I had it in me to go for a job or go back to graduate school, my mentor was like, what are you waiting for? Just try it. So, as a mentor, the benefits the mentee gets is somebody that really believes in them and encourages them. And, lastly there, it does become a long-term relationship. If nurtured well and grown well, these relationships will be relationships that these students and you yourself will have. And who knows, they could end up working with you someday, or you could end up working for them someday. You don't know all the possibilities from these relationships. So what are some of the benefits to the mentors? I can't say enough about it. Really does give you a sense and a feeling of leaving that legacy. For me, that's the biggest thing, is like, how do I pay forward all the people that have helped me? How do I help grow someone and connect someone in a world that is so hard to navigate? I mean, even for me, I said this to Shelly, this is probably the roughest year I've ever had personally and professionally. And not just because necessarily of COVID and the stress with all that and the unrest in the world. It's just been figuring out how to do things, that I've never had to know how to do before. And so, some of that benefit is these mentees that are coming in are amazing with technology. I bet they could help give us all lessons on things we never knew possible to do with Zoom or Microsoft Teams, or, their ability to adapt to technology and all of those things. So that's why I say it can really, really be a mutually beneficial relationships. Some of the mentors have had mentees do projects for them as interns too. So, if there's opportunities in your company that you see and you have this relationship, you might be able to get that mentee to help you with those projects. And the great thing about that, because we've done this at Spalding, is it's, the students are learning these new ways of the world of doing things. And so they're bringing this knowledge to you to be able to help you with projects. And, I find it to be such a win-win. I know the businesses that we worked with at Spalding were so grateful of having students come in and take a look at things. And they were real world learning and being able to use the things that they were learning in the classroom. And a plus for everyone that has their accreditation for KYSHRM, this will give you recertification credits if you are involved. And Shelly, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to like how that works, if it's per hour, because I know when people have gone to conferences, they're getting credit for that for Kentucky KYSHRM, but do you want to say just a little bit about how that might specifically work if you were to get a question?
Sure. For HRCI and KYSHRM, on your recertification form, there is a place for you to list like how many people you've been mentoring, how many hours you've spent doing that. I don't remember how many credits total. I should have looked it up, but while you're speaking well, no, I can't because you're looking at my screen. Maybe I'll try to find it on my phone. But yeah, you get credits for that. I'm not sure. I think you can get a certain number. Maybe it might be like 6 for the 3 years or 10 for the 3 years or something like that. I'll try to find that on my phone while you're finished.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for adding that. And I will just tell you, I've been doing some mentoring since, I don't even say coronavirus anymore. I just say since March happened. I really struggled, like most of us did, for that first couple of weeks or that month of, because my business slowed down. I had to start figuring out how to do things virtually. But I took the opportunity to mentor some people that were doing some things and going through some things. And it really did help give that sense of, how can we all give back right now? And I think it's extremely important today because there are people that are again, going through a lot of things. And as I said, to be in school right now, it's just so much different than most of us ever experienced. That just to have that feeling of that we can give back when there's so many things we feel like, or at least I feel like I can't control right now. That's one thing I can, is that I can contribute. So let's take a look at just a couple of things on how to grow a mentoring relationship, some things that you can do. Of course, recommending scheduling time, and Shelly's going to give you some additional information on that. I get asked frequently with companies that I've helped set up formal mentoring programs, how often should we meet? I will tell you that I would recommend at least a once a month connection, and these are going to be virtual relationships. So I think that makes it a bit easier to be able to schedule a Zoom call or Microsoft Teams or WebEx or whatever it is that you're going to be using. But, deciding on, and I always try to recommend a consistent time that you do that. So it's like, oh, is it Monday? Were we supposed to talk today? But if you do, it kind of gets into a rhythm with being able to do that. With the mentees, use this as an opportunity to talk about and find out about this person's jobs and career experiences. I always enjoy hearing somebody's story and what I can learn from that. And, I encourage both the mentor and the mentee before that initial relationship to really be clear and think about what is it that they would like to get out of the mentoring relationship. And for the mentor, it can be, I just want to be able to help someone grow in their career, what they want to do. I want to help expand their network. But, for the mentee, it's really important to have thought through that first meeting is, what would you really like to get out of this relationship? What would a successful mentoring relationship look like for you? And maybe just have a couple of goals. I don't mean to say that you have to have a specific, like, I want to work for this company in this job, and someday I want to be vice president of HR. There might be people that have that specific of a goal. I've met those young people. I'm like, yes, most people are not that clear. But just having an idea of, I'd like to learn more about HR. I'd like to know about the jobs that are available. I would like to maybe be involved in some kind of internship. So really thinking through what it is that you want out of that relationship before that first conversation. And mentors are amazing in helping with resumes, especially HR people, because you look at so many resumes. You see the good ones and you see the ones that they need a little love. So how can you, give that advice to your mentee? Because I find, and I volunteer a couple times a year with Bellarmine and Spalding to review resumes. And it's challenging for students. They don't necessarily know how to showcase all the things that they've done as a student. And so, being able to give that advice and help them put a strong resume forward as they graduate, or even look for jobs, before they've graduated. And then keeping your mentor posted about developments in career. I always encourage mentees to do that. I'd love to hear back from people that I have mentored, even once the formal relationship has ended, about what's going on. What have you done? What have you accomplished? I just think it's great to keep that relationship going and keep in contact for that, because you never know when these relationships can come back and can grow things even greater than you thought. So a couple of other things I would like to share as far as what to use your mentoring relationship for. And I'm going to say this goes both ways, is learning a new skill or competency. As I said, a couple of mentors that I have engaged with just this year have been amazing with helping me learn how to navigate the virtual world of training. And I've been so grateful. I'm like, oh, that's what that button does. Okay, thank you. I mean, it's been great. So, even thinking about for you yourself, what do you think, as you get to know your mentee, what are some things that they can help you? And then what are some things that you can teach the other way as well? And, giving the resume to people they might know. I know that I've done that for a number of people that I've mentored that I thought, people in my network were looking for somebody that needed a certain thing, and this person had it. And again, it goes back to that connection. It's not the direct thing is getting a job, but it might be an indirect thing that happens as the relationship grows. Identifying contacts, giving, even bringing them in once we go back to work, if that happens for some of us, but, bringing them in, allowing them to shadow a day in your life. I think about that now in the Zoom world. Come sit with me on Zoom for all day and watch me navigate through all my meetings. It could be, that could be really beneficial right now. We're all learning to be creative in that, but how can you introduce them and bring them into your company so that they can observe a day in the life of HR, what that looks like? Because there's lots of stories there. I still think there needs to be a reality show of HR. Of course, it's HR, so you can't really, they'd have to have the face where you couldn't really see who they are. They'd have to have actors. But just giving advice and then helping build confidence. And I think that's one of the greatest things that we should never underestimate as mentors that we can really do. Because as I said, I didn't necessarily need to believe that I could do some of the things that I've done in my life, but I had some mentors that believed I could. And their believing in me was enough for me to want to try it. And so if I can be that for somebody else, I think that that's one of the greatest gifts that we can give other people, and especially our young people. And, with that, I have this quote that I would like to close with and share. And I opened my dissertation with this quote, but it's, no matter what accomplishments you make, somebody helps you. So if we sit here right now and think about, for each one of us, how did you get where you are today? How did you get in the role that you were in today? How many people played a part in your story? And to be part of someone else's story and help them get there, I equate mentoring like planting seeds. And you never know what's going to come from those seeds. You never know what you're going to get. But what I say is, if you nurture and you grow them, you are going to have some amazing beauty in your garden of life. And so I encourage each one of you, if you're on this call thinking about being a mentor, or you are going out helping us offer this opportunity to students at your colleges, your universities, I can't stress enough about what this gives back. And again, not only to the mentees, but to the mentors. And in the world right now that we have, I think we need to do so much more of that. So I want to just leave you with my contact. My email is at the bottom of that. So for any of you that have any further questions, just on mentoring in general, and some ideas from things beyond what we're going to share with you today, what Shelly's going to share with you, I would be more than happy to do that, because I try to pay it forward every day. And I just believe that that's so important. And if we all just took one thing a day and paid it forward, how much greater would this world be? So I want to thank you, Shelly, for letting me be part of this kickoff, because I'm really excited that Kentucky SHRM's offering it. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. That was fabulous. And it's so nice to have somebody who's an expert in this topic. We really appreciate you being with us. So if I can get this to, yeah, here we go. So if you're interested in being a mentor or a mentee, or if you're faculty, please let your students know, or even young professionals. It doesn't have to be a student. I actually had somebody contact me and said, I'm not a young, student, and I'm not really even a young professional. She said, but I'm new to the field. Can I still participate? And I said, absolutely. We say students and we say young professionals, but sometimes it's somebody who moved from being in operations to being in HR, and they really need somebody to talk to about what their challenges are. So please let people know about this program. We have, I think, about 12 to 15 people who've signed up so far. I'm hoping to get, several more at least, maybe 20 to 25 at least, so I can do some good matches before the semester starts, or around the time. I was hoping to do it right after Labor Day. If you have not completed a form and you would like to, it is posted on the Kentucky SHRM website at ky.shrm.org. If you go there, I'll just tell you, if you don't want to write all that down, you can go to ky.shrm.org, and then there's a navigation bar across the top, and at the far right side, it will say more, and it has a drop-down box, and you can see college relations, so you can go there as well. I think Katie might have already posted these slides, or they will be soon, so you can download the slides and look at it, all of the slides and the information that's presented. One of the form that's posted there has 2 pages. Page 1 is for mentors. Page 2 is for mentees. I have had a couple of mentees complete the first page instead. So we need to get the right one. I've had to actually send it back out and say, can you do page 2? And I didn't mean for it to be confusing, but it does have a big thing across the top. This one's for mentors and this one's for mentees. So that's how you fill out the form. Once you've completed it, save it to your computer and email it to me at shellytren@live.com. Like I said, I want to try to do the matches in early September, so you'll have the whole semester to meet together and make those connections. What I'm trying to do is do matches based on mutual areas of interest. So when I have the form filled out, on the mentor form, it will say, you know, what are your areas of expertise? And then it also says, do you have any special gifts? Some people don't know what that means, but I guess for me, I was thinking, maybe you know sign language, maybe you speak Spanish, maybe you are really good at dealing with conflict. Maybe you have some interest in, maybe you write, maybe you speak a lot at conferences. Those types of things are your special gifts outside of just your HR job. So I thought, well, you know, I might get a mentee who wants to be a consultant, that, you know, maybe I want to match it with somebody who does consulting. Or maybe it's a student who speaks Spanish and I want to match you up with those gifts. So make sure you put that kind of information on your form. And, you know, because we're in a virtual world now, it's been forced upon us. It doesn't really matter where you live. You don't have to both be in Bowling Green or Elizabethtown. You can be wherever you want to be. So that will make it easier for us to match people up by their interests more than where they live. So sign up, and we hope to get your application soon. Maybe by the end of this month would be ideal. Oh, somebody has a chat. Oh, she has another meeting. Okay, so let's move on here. Some requirements, I don't want to really say requirements, but strongly suggested. The mentor needs to make initial contact with the mentee within about a week of the assignment. I know everybody's busy and it's really hard to do sometimes, but we don't want the mentee to feel like, well, I signed up for this program and nobody ever reached out to me, or it's been a while. So please try to make initial contact with your student. Just, you know, send them an email, give them a call. And we hope that mentors will communicate with mentees at least once every 2 weeks through the semester, and have ongoing communication between both of you throughout the semester. And if one of you finds the other one is not communicating, please let me know, because maybe the non-responsive person has something going on in their lives that we need to match you with somebody else. So that's okay if things happen, but let me know so we can get the matches changed. Around the end of the semester, I'm going to send out a survey asking you about your participation in the program, how we can make it better, what you liked, what you didn't like, were you matched with the right person? And that's another thing, you know, if you feel like there's not really a good connection there on either side, you know, we can always rearrange and match you with somebody else who is a little bit more involved in the types of HR that you want to practice or whatever it may be. And so just some suggested first conversations. And this, you know, I'm an introvert, so sometimes I get in a room with somebody and I'm thinking, what do I say? But for the mentor, talk about your current job responsibilities, maybe how you got into the profession, and give some detail on that, because students want to know how to get from where they are to where you are. And it's not just about, well, you know, I started out in 1984, blah, blah, blah. Tell them, you know, what made you decide to get a certification? Maybe what necessary academic preparation you had. Maybe if for me, I didn't know I was going to go into HR, so I have a degree in government, and I think you'll find that a lot of your mentors will say they didn't know they were going to go into HR either. I know some of my dearest friends, one of them has a degree in music, one of them has a degree in anthropology, but they're fabulous HR professionals. So, you know, I think Hope mentioned this, sometimes it's about the lessons you learned. I would have taken, if I had known I was going to go into HR, I would have taken a lot of different classes, obviously. So talk to them about those types of decisions, things you wish you would have done differently. Share your feelings on the importance of networking, because a lot of students are, right now, they're just thinking about getting a job. But what you really need to instill in them is the importance of making those connections, and that's going to help them get a job more than doing applications on the internet or, you know, whatever, through Indeed or Career Builder. It is about who you know. And so, you know, we want to talk to them about that. And Hope mentioned this too, introduce your mentee to other professionals. You know, you don't have to be that person's only mentor. You can, you know, say this other person has your expertise and you might want to talk to them. So for the mentee, Explain why you're interested in HR. What made you want to go into this field? Ask your mentor about certification and training and electives that you can take. One of the things I tell students all the time is if you're doing your degree in HR, very specifically choose electives like labor economics and business law and things that you might not get in your HR degree program, ethics. I don't know what all the programs are, but choose your electives very carefully to make sure those things help you. Because I know when I was in school, a lot of my friends would say, oh, I'm going to take this class because it's really easy. It's an easy A. And yeah, sometimes that's good, but think ahead of what you might need to know for your career. Discuss what you expect. Both of you actually should talk about what you expect from the relationship. Ask questions, and Hope said this, but don't ask for a job. It's not about getting a job. It's about getting someone to help you get your foot in the door through those connections. And be sure to plan your future connections. So every time you have a call, say, okay, we're going to touch base in 2 weeks, and go ahead and set up that time. You might, if we get out of COVID before the end of the semester, I don't know if that's going to happen, but maybe you can have a job shadow day. I think Hope talked about this too, where you sit down side by side and say, okay, take me through how you do your recruiting process, or maybe you have a student sit in on interviewing or whatever it is. Maybe you're doing a new comp plan and the student can learn about it. So, and maybe it can be a virtual job shadow. I don't know. That's another whole program. Suggested activities, holding virtual meetings together. Maybe if you have a virtual professional chapter meeting, invite the student to attend that, give them a link to do it for free because they don't have any money, and right now they're probably not able to work, or they might, because a lot of students work in restaurants and other jobs where they're laid off right now. So asking them to participate for free is really helpful. Another thing is talking about things like employee grievances, sexual harassment, substance abuse, the things we're dealing with right now in the world. Have that conversation. How are you dealing with, as Hope said, the unrest in the world? How are you dealing with that in the workplace? Those are things they really want to know. What's going on right now? What are the common things you're dealing with? And then maybe even having them observe some sort of special project like a health fair or a wellness program, or like I said, a new comp plan. So there's a lot of different things that you can interact with about. There we go. My cursor was missing. And Hope mentioned this, reviewing their resume, offering suggestions for improvement, just allowing them to observe your activities. Try to include them in as many aspects of HR as you can, because they might not be sure at this point whether they want to be a generalist or a specialist. Maybe they see something you're working on and they get really excited about it, and it makes them feel like, oh, this is really the area I want to go into. Maybe you could help them find an internship or a job. It's not required, but if you feel the connection with them and you think this is really a good student, I want to help that person get a job, go for it. That's fabulous. And then, the mentee should share their concerns. As Hope said, it's going to be hard to get into a job right now with COVID. A lot of places either aren't hiring or they're going to work from home for a while. And how is that going to work if you're working from home? And how are you going to do the onboarding? So there's a lot of questions that the students may have about getting their foot in the door. How do I even start my career during COVID?
Shelly, I had a funny, when I was doing the student review of resumes, I looked at a resume and the top of it had career goal, objective, and the student had get a job. And so I was like, okay, well, that's a really good place to start, but can we elaborate? But it was just funny to see of their career goal, get a job. I mean, that's kind of, where people's head is today is like, go to school, you get a job, but just being able to help refine that and put a little bit more specificness around it. Mentors can definitely help with that.
Well, and I talked about this last week on our other call. I don't know if everybody was on that, but KYSHRM the SHRM Foundation has been doing some surveys of their student members, and the very top thing they said they want help with is getting a job. That's always the concern about students. Another thing that I forgot to mention that I do want to say, sometimes, and students, this might be news to you, but I know it's true. Sometimes what happens is you, like Hope said, you just want to get a job. Any job in HR, just get my foot in the door. I don't care where it is. But let's just say you start out in manufacturing. Usually you'll see as you go through your career, HR jobs, even though HR is pretty much the same no matter what kind of organization you're in, or the functions are, a lot of times you'll see for a healthcare HR position, they want you to have healthcare experience or experience in HR and healthcare. So if you start out in manufacturing, or you start out in banking, or you start out in education, it's going to matter. So even like Hope said, put some more definition around that, because if you say, I just want any old job, and you get started in a field and you don't like it, sometimes it might be a little hard to make that shift. I see, if you look at the resume or the job postings, it'll say, if it's at a hospital, they really want somebody who's worked in a hospital in HR. So that will matter. And it's not just about, any old job. So if you want to ask questions,